Hello everyone! It has been a hot minute since I have seen you all, but today I am back and better than ever because I'm doing a booktube. So I'm telling you my 10 favorite books of all time in no particular order. So let's dive in. Number one that I'm starting with is Educated by Tara Westover. I read this years ago and I read it so fast. It was so interesting. It's a memoir about Tara's life growing up with her very interesting family dynamic and how she wasn't getting any school practically, and she took charge of her own education, and still to this day, like, doesn't super get along with her family. And oh, it's so hard to explain. I don't want to ruin it for you. It is seriously so good, so interesting, and when you read it you think that you're reading a story from like super long time ago, and it's not. It's a couple decades ago and that is it. And if you want a good memoir, Educated. All right, my next share is called The Last Bookshop in London. Sorry if you can't really see it, but it is by Madeline Martin, and historical fiction is my favorite genre. This book is so good, also heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time. Basically about this younger woman who was working in a bookshop in London during World War II at the very start, and it goes through a lot of the war and how bringing books and trying to find joy even during the hardest part of the war is what keeps people together. So if you want a good historical fiction, highly recommend this one. I'm also going to share a couple more historical fiction, but Last Bookshop in London was 10 out of 10 for me. All right, my next book I don't have a physical copy for, so I'm showing you on my iPad. You probably know that beautiful face. It is Matthew McConaughey's memoir titled Green Lights. This book has gotten a ton of hype and it deserves it. It was so good. It was funny. I didn't listen to the audiobook, but I heard the audiobook might be even better than just reading it. It's just a really, really good story. It's not full of a ton of useless advice, and the advice that he does give is by his own personal experience, and he makes it funny, and I don't know. It's a great book, so I highly recommend, if you haven't already, please go read or listen to Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. Okay, while we're on the topic of books that get a lot of hype, another one on my top 10 favorite books of all time is none other than It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. And I know you might think, oh, I'm not gonna get on that bandwagon. I'm not a Coho fan. And you know what I say to that? You're just being annoying for no reason, because this is actually a super good book. The characters in the story will have you so invested. This book, I mean, like a lot of really great books, makes you visualize what is happening, but this one is to the next level. I didn't really like the second one as much, unpopular opinion, but this one is super good. So I don't read that many regular realistic fiction books, but this one, it's up there for me. 11 out of 10. Give it a read. This next book was my first book that I would always say this is my favorite book. It's been so long since I've read it now, so I would have to reread it to determine if this truly gets my number one spot. But The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, so good. Another historical fiction book that takes place during World War II. Clearly I have a passion for learning about young girls during World War II. I don't know. So good though. And I recently learned that this story of the two sisters during World War II having very different experiences in that war is going to become a movie. So I am just thrilled. Look out for that soon. It's so good. It's so good. It's another historical fiction. So if you don't like historical fiction, I get it. But truly, it's amazing. My next book for my top 10 favorite books of all time is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Not only is the cover art beautiful, but also the story inside is super inspirational and empowering. It's about Glennon raw telling her story of how she kind of restarted her life with a new person after already having her family established. And it's just really empowering to show that sometimes you can go through life challenges and still come out even better than you ever could have imagined. And I don't know, it is a really, really good book. This is also one I read years ago and it's still on my top 10. So Untamed by Glennon Doyle. All right, this is my last wonderful historical fiction book to share for you for my top 10. Guys, I don't know what it is about World War II novels, but they are just really well written. So We Were the Lucky Ones by Georgia Hunter follows a family and their struggles and triumphs throughout World War II, and it spans throughout Europe and what this family had to go through. It is not totally a true story, but it is based on a true story, as most of the World War II historical fiction books are. It's another one that is heartbreaking, but heartwarming at the same time, and just unimaginable what people had to go through. So, We Were the Lucky Ones by Georgia Hunter. Give it a read. My next book I'm sharing with you is actually a book about finances, and I'm just shocked as you that a financial book would make it on my list. However, this one truly changed my life. It is called I Will Teach You How to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. Feel free to correct me on the pronunciation. It is so good. I followed directly his instructions on how to get my Roth IRA set up. I'm telling you, if you are clueless or young or have had no background in finances whatsoever, please read this book, because it actually gives you step-by-step things to follow to set yourself up for success. And he's kind of funny. Like, it's not a boring financial book that took me forever to read. Highly recommend I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. I have another self-help book that honestly I didn't think would make it on my list, but after I've read it, I keep coming back to the advice that was given in this book. So Atomic Habits by James Clear is a phenomenal read. Now, while I was reading it, I thought, oh, this is just basic information. Like, duh, I knew a lot of this stuff. But he breaks it down so simply that you think it's stuff that you should already know and already be doing. And it just takes a while to sink in that, whoa, I could easily be changing this 1% of my life. And I've always come back with this whenever I'm feeling like I want to improve my life. Instead of setting drastic New Year's resolutions like I used to in the past, I just try to make myself 1% better, which is basically what this book is teaching you about. So especially if it's a new year and you're trying to better yourself, Atomic Habits by James Clear is your book. And last but certainly not least is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which, first of all, love her as an author. Second of all, I think Daisy Jones and the Six is better than The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Both fantastic, but I think this one's better. I was doing research on this after, trying to figure out Daisy Jones. I was like, this has to be a real person. Well, ladies and gentlemen, she is not a real person. This is a total fictional story. Super cool to read. Each line is a person. Like, the whole book isn't like your typical read. Every line is somebody else talking, just like a play, or I don't know how to describe it, but it is a fantastic book. And it's about this rock and roll group in the, I don't remember, 60s, 70s. I don't really remember, but super, super good read. And this is another one that's getting turned into a series. I want to tell you, you may think I'm just hopping on the bandwagons, but I'm telling you, I started the bandwagon. A lot of these books I read years ago, before they became popular. But anyway, another fantastic read. Thank you for coming to my booktube. I am so grateful for you all. I have not been posting very many videos right now, but I definitely am going to start again, especially once we get those summer travels rolling again, because y'all know that I actually have a full-time job now, which is wonderful, but less time for my amazing travels. But when I can travel, I like to, of course, travel through books. So I highly recommend leaving a comment of your favorite book for me so that I can check it out myself. Otherwise, feel free to give this video a like or hit that subscribe button. Love you all. Bye. Oh my, that is up close. How in the world? Ah.